Today we are waiting for a trip to a land where nature seems to have descended from the pages of fantastic books. Behind every turn there is a breathtaking landscape. In a country where there are countless mountains, forests and waterfalls for every 5 million inhabitants, we will discover the most impressive corners. We will walk along the edge of the bottomless fjords, race along the serpentines that make your head spin, look into the colorful fishing villages on the very edge of the earth, and show Norway from an unexpected angle. Let's start with the Lofoten waterfall in Otda. This is a double waterfall, too powerful, as if independent streams break from the cliff from a height of 165 meters and only at the foot merge into a single channel. Nearby is a massive X-century stone bridge that carries the Norwegian National Road No. 13. It is here that the best view opens up. Water dust shrouds the gorge in a light haze, and the roar of water echoes off the rocks, making you forget about everything in the world. Next, Geirangerfjord, one of the main pearls of Norway. The country is famous for its fjords. There are more than 1,000 of them, and Geiranger is considered to be one of the most beautiful. It cuts into the land for 15 kilometers, and its emerald waters are framed by sheer cliffs from which waterfalls fall. The most famous are the Seven Sisters, 7 separate streams that seem to dance on rocky walls. Opposite them is the Grum waterfall, and a little further along the bay is the Bride's Veil. These places cannot be described in words. They need to be seen and felt. Due to the impressive depth of the fjord, not only small tourist boats come here, but also large cruise liners that moor in the village of Geiranger. The view of the huge ships gliding slowly between the sheer cliffs is almost unreal. The village itself is a cozy village with a population of about 250 people, which in summer turns into a lively tourist center. Souvenir shops, cafes with local cuisine and observation decks are open here. To see the fjord from a height, it is worth climbing the picturesque serpentine to Mount Dalsny. It rises almost 1,400 meters above the village. Another hallmark of Norway is the troll language. This rock outcrop overhangs Geirangerfjord Lake at an altitude of approximately 700 meters. According to legend, this is the petrified tongue of a giant who defied the sun. Scientists explain its origin by glacial erosion. The way to the attraction is not easy. The round trip takes from 8 to 12 hours, but the effort pays off. The views from the top are stunning, and the photos are truly spectacular. The Majestic waterfall is one of the highest in Europe. It consists of 2 large vertical ledges and several smaller ones. Water falls down from a height of about 700 meters, flying through grey rocks among coniferous forests and creating a dense cloud of spray. You can see the waterfall only 2 months a year, from June 20 to August 20, during the tourist season. The rest of the time, the flow is directed through hidden pipes of a hydroelectric power station. Lysfjord is a 42 kilometers long fjord carved by glaciers thousands of years ago. Its walls sometimes rise above a kilometer, and the depth reaches almost 460 meters. Here you feel like a tiny particle in the face of majestic nature. Among the main attractions of the fjord, Breathtaking, a giant flat, cliff hanging over the water at an altitude of 600 meters. The ascent takes at least 2 hours, and the path is sometimes steep and dangerous. But the panorama from the top is worth all the effort. Further down the bay is Mount Kjerag and the famous boulder Kjeragbolten, stuck in a crevice. It looks like it is about to fall down, but in fact, it has been securely held there for thousands of years. A photo on the background of a stone is a real adventure, but this does not stop tourists. According to local beliefs, Kjeragbolten is the perfect place to make a wish. The Solstraumen tidal current near the town of Buda is another place that leaves no one indifferent. Every 6 hours, huge masses of water rush through the narrow 150-meter section of the strait, forming eddies with a diameter of up to 12 meters and a depth of up to 5. The flow rate reaches 40 kilometers per hour, and about 400 million cubic meters of water pass through the strait in one cycle. The violent movement of water, mesmerizing funnels, and the bridge over the strait create a mesmerizing sight. The Lofoten Islands are an archipelago in the Norwegian Sea, known for its dramatic mountain scenery, fjords, traditional red fishing huts, and almost unspoiled nature. Despite its location in the Arctic Circle, the climate here is mild due to the warm Gulf Stream. The pearl of the archipelago is the fishing village of Henningsvær. One glance is enough to appreciate its uniqueness. Cozy houses look like toys against the background of harsh mountains. Water splashes at the piles. Neat boats stand at the pier, and the islands are connected by modern roads. Henningsvær is home to about 500 people, but the village boasts one of the most picturesque soccer fields in the world. A perfectly green rectangle sandwiched between cliffs and the open sea. From a height, it looks especially impressive. Another iconic village, the Rhine at the foot of the Rheinbringen mountain. Its colorful houses are scattered on small islands connected by bridges and dams. Local residents still dry cod on huge wooden structures, as their ancestors did. Climbing the steep, rocky path to Rheinbringen rewards travelers with a breathtaking view. Colorful houses and a fjord set against a backdrop of wild nature create a unique contrast. Lofoten Lake is famous not only for its beauty, but also for its tragic history. Its unusual color is the result of melting glaciers bringing rock particles. In calm weather, the lake becomes a giant mirror reflecting peaks and glaciers. From one of the slopes breaks the waterfall Ramnefjordsfossen, one of the highest on the planet. Behind the idyllic picture lies a dark history. In the XX century, the partial collapse of Mount Ranafjell twice caused a giant tsunami here, one of which reached more than 70 meters in height. They completely destroyed the coastal villages, and after the second disaster, most of the inhabitants left the valley forever. Today, almost no one lives here, but there are tourist bases and campsites in safe areas, and the historic Brinksø farm has been preserved. The nearest major settlement is the village of Lone. Now Lofoten is one of the most photographed lakes in Norway. Tourists come here to see this glacial blue with their own eyes. Oslo is the capital and largest city of Norway, its economic, cultural and political center. The city is home to about 720,000 people. while the metropolitan area is home to about 1.5 million, which is about a quarter of the country's population. Oslo combines state-of-the-art Scandinavian architecture with historical monuments and an abundance of parks. One of the main historical attractions is the Akershus fortress, founded by King Haakon the Saint in the late 8th century to protect the city from the Swedes. In its entire history, the fortress has never been besieged. The trendy and expensive coastal quarter of Akerbrug was once an industrial area and a shipyard. Now industrial buildings made of red brick harmoniously coexist with futuristic residential complexes, wooden embankments and yacht piers. One of the city's iconic landmarks is the Oslo Opera House, a snow-white building that resembles an iceberg sliding into the waters of a fjord. Its roof is a public space with free entry and beautiful views. No less impressive is the 13-story Munch Museum building with its slightly broken top. The museum, which will open in 2021, is one of the largest in the world dedicated to the work of a single artist. Oslo does not seek to impress with grandeur. It has a calm, peaceful atmosphere. Walking along the embankments, coffee in cozy cafes, and the soft light of lanterns reflected in the water create a sense of Scandinavian comfort, where simplicity becomes a real luxury. Sognefjord is the main star of the Norwegian fjords, the longest and deepest fjord in the country and the second longest in the world. It stretches for 204 kilometers, and its depth reaches 1,300 meters, while the coastal rocks sometimes rise to 1,700 meters above the water. One of the most impressive branches is Geirangerfjord, which was included in the UNESCO World Heritage List in 2005. It is 17 kilometers long and no more than 250 meters wide at its narrowest point, making it the narrowest fjord in Norway. Small villages such as Undredal and Gudvangen remain on the banks, where the locals raise goats, produce traditional brown cheese and host tourists. For travelers, Sognefjord offers a rich program. From the town of Flåm, located deep in Orlandsfjord, the famous Flåm Railway starts, one of the steepest in the world. In an hour, the train rises from sea level to 866 meters, offering panoramic views of waterfalls, mountain farms and snow-capped peaks. In the middle of the route, you will stop at the thundering Kysfossen waterfall. Then, from Flåm, you can take a guided boat around the fjord and its arms to experience the power of the rocks and the freshness of the water up close. If you prefer to stay on dry land, visit the Stegerstein observation deck, 17 kilometers from Flåm. It is located at an altitude of 650 meters above the fjord, and its projection above the cliff is 30 meters. From here you can enjoy a breathtaking panorama of the fjord, mountain peaks, and the village of Åland. No wonder Stegerstein is considered one of the most photographed points in Norway. Now fast forward to the Svalbard archipelago. Located in the Arctic Ocean about 1,000 kilometers north of the Norwegian mainland, the archipelago has been under Norwegian sovereignty since 1920, when the Svalbard Treaty was signed. It consolidated Norwegian jurisdiction, but granted citizens of all participating countries equal rights to economic activities, coal mining, fishing and scientific research. Today, Norway and Russia maintain an economic presence here. The main economic activity is concentrated on the largest island of the archipelago, West Svalbard. The main administrative center Geirangerfjord, the northernmost permanent settlement on Earth with a population of over 1,000 people. The city is located 1,300 kilometers from the North Pole, and life here is subject to harsh Arctic laws. For example, the cemetery in Longyearbyen was closed in the last century. Because of the frozen soil, the bodies do not decompose and can attract polar bears. So burials are carried out on the mainland. There is no maternity ward in the city. Expectant mothers leave for the mainland a few weeks before giving birth. Even ordinary windows are forbidden here. They can threaten rare Arctic birds nesting on the rocks. At the same time, Arctic foxes and reindeer freely walk along the streets. However, it is dangerous to go outside the city limits. Meetings with polar bears are not uncommon here. So all walks outside the village are made only when accompanied by a guide with a loaded gun. This is not a formality, but a matter of security. Following the closure of the coal mine in 2025, Longyearbyen's economy relies mainly on science and tourism. Harsh icy landscapes attract adventurers from all over the world. Tourists especially like to visit the Russian villages of Barentsburg and Preserved Pyramid. Despite the reduction in tourist traffic, the mining villages with their Soviet atmosphere remain a highlight for foreign visitors. Next to Longyearbyen, on the slope of Plateauberget Mountain, is the World Seed Repository. More than 1 million seed samples are stored in the permafrost, humanity's genetic reserve. In case of disaster, Vringsfossen waterfall is one of the most visited waterfalls in Norway. It is located in the Hardangervidda National Park. The waters of the Bjerøya River flow from a high mountain plateau into a narrow rocky gorge. The total height of the fall is 182 meters, of which about 145 meters is free fall. Because of the abundance of spray, a bright rainbow often appears here. So the waterfall is often called Rainbow. Jotunheimen National Park House of Giants lives up to its name. According to Norse mythology, Jotuns, mighty ice giants, once lived here. The park has about 250 peaks with a height of more than 1,900 meters, including Gauhøypiggen 2,469 meters, the highest point in Norway. The pearl of the park is two lakes separated by the narrow and sharp Besseggen Ridge, one of the most popular hiking trails. To the left lies the Emerald Lake Giend, fed by melting glacial waters with mineral suspension. To the right, 400 meters higher, lies the dark blue Lake Bessevet. They are separated by only a few tens of meters, but the difference in height is hundreds of meters. This natural contrast strikes everyone who climbs the ridge. Rund Island off the southwestern coast of Norway is a real edge of the earth, where the elements rule. Its rugged, rocky shores are buffeted by powerful ocean winds all year round. But every spring, the island is transformed. More than 500,000 birds arrive here, and ornithologists record up to 230 species per season. The main owners of the island are Atlantic puffins. These funny birds with bright beaks arrive in April to hatch their chicks and stay until August. Their colonies number more than 100,000 breeding pairs, and every evening thousands of puffins return to their nests in burrows on steep cliffs. Watching this spectacle on the steep cliffs is a unique experience for which photographers and travelers come here, despite the capricious weather. Mount Torgatan resembles a stone hat with a small through hole. According to legend, the troll Hesmonen chased the girl Likima, and, desperate to catch up with her, shot an arrow at her. Troll King Semneth, saving the girl, threw his hat in the way of the arrow. The arrow pierced right through it, and as the sun rose, everything turned to stone. According to scientists, the natural tunnel, with a length of about 160 meters and a height of about 20 meters, was formed during the Ice Age. It looks small from the outside, but a 5-story building can easily fit inside. Troll's Ladder is a vertiginous serpentine with 11 sharp turns, stone walls and bridges. This is the most scenic part of the RV63 National Road and one of Norway's most popular destinations. Especially impressive is the old stone bridge that crosses the Stigfossen waterfall. A powerful stream falls into a deep gorge, and in windy weather a cloud of spray envelops passing cars. The final point of the route is located at an altitude of 850 meters above sea level. There is a parking lot, souvenir shops and an observation deck with a fabulous view of the surrounding area. Jostedalsbreen National Park in the west of Norway is a realm of contrasts, where harsh ice juxtaposes with green valleys. Founded in 1991, it covers more than 1,310 square kilometers and has long been a mecca for hikers and mountaineers. The main attraction is the Jostedalsbreen Glacier, the largest in continental Europe. Its area is 487 square kilometers, and the ice thickness in some places exceeds 600 meters. Because of the enormous pressure, the snow compresses and displaces the air, so the ice takes on a neon blue hue. Ice masses slide down numerous arms, changing the terrain and creating valleys, lakes and waterfalls. There are 3 educational centers for guests, and activities include guided hikes, kayaking and glacier walks. The Atlantic Road is a section of 2-lane highway just over 8 kilometers long in western Norway. It consists of levees, trestles and 8 bridges connecting many small islands. The most famous of them is the Storsasenet Bridge, which rises 23 meters above the water. Ships can pass under it. Because of its unusual design, it was nicknamed Drunk or Bridge to Nowhere. At a certain angle, it resembles an unfinished roller coaster. In calm weather, a road trip offers seascapes and fresh air, while during a storm, waves crash directly against road barriers. An impressive and dangerous sight that reminds you of the power of nature. The Troll Wall in the Romsdal Valley is part of the Trollstinden mountain range, and the highest vertical rock wall in Europe. Its height exceeds a kilometer. It looms over the valley, looking dark and sinister, and fully justifies its image. In the 20th century, it became popular among base jumpers, but due to frequent accidents. The Norwegian authorities banned jumping from it in 1986. Climbers still climb the wall. The routes here are considered one of the most difficult and dangerous in the world. The Hardanger Bridge over the Geirangerfjord is not just an engineering structure, but a symbol of harmony between man and nature. Its 1,310-meter-long span soars 55 meters above the water, and its towers reach 200 meters into the sky. It is the country's longest suspension bridge. Opened in 2013, it replaced the ferry crossing, shortening the path between Oslo and Bergen, and became the world's longest bridge connecting two tunnels. The roads on both sides go straight into the rocks. Stavanger is a city of striking contrasts, with harsh Norwegian landscapes juxtaposed with a vibrant oil industry. Heart of the historic centre, Stavanger Cathedral, Norway's oldest stone cathedral, built in 1125. It seems to contain echoes of the past centuries. The lively Von Embankment is the main public space in the city. Fishing boats and pleasure yachts are bobbing at the docks. Cafes and restaurants with terraces are lined up along the water, and the air is filled with the smell of the sea and salt. Nearby, on the shore of Mellambukta Bay, stands the monument Swords in stone. 3 giant blades embedded in a coastal rock refer to the Battle of Hafrsfjord, when King Harald Fairhair unified Norway. The 10-meter-long sword symbolizes the monarch himself, the other to his defeated opponents. But the main idea of the composition is in the desire for peace. Swords tightly locked in the rock will never be able to serve as weapons again. Today's Stavanger is one of the largest cities in the country, more than 150,000 inhabitants, and its oil capital. After the discovery of the field in the North Sea in 1969, leading oil and gas and service companies settled here. At the same time, the city's economy has long gone beyond one industry. About 70% of employees work in the service sector, and in recent years, Stavanger has been increasingly developing as a green energy center. Stavkirke in Bergen deserves special attention. A unique monument of wooden architecture of the X century, assembled without a single metal fastener. More than 2,000 elements were first connected on the ground, and then the finished frame was lifted using long poles. The roof is crowned with carved dragon heads, and on the inner walls there are preserved runic signs of amulets, a clear evidence of how long Christian and pagan traditions intertwined in medieval Scandinavia. Of the 1,500 wooden churches that were once built in Norway, only 28 have survived to this day. Langfosen waterfall is the 5th highest waterfall in Norway, 612 meters. It doesn't run out all year round. Its powerful stream roars down, breaks on the rocks and flows into the waters of the Fjord, creating a mesmerizing sight. Thanks to its proximity to the highway, the waterfall is accessible to almost every traveler, and its beauty is regularly included in the selection of the most picturesque waterfalls on the planet. North Cape is a place where you really feel like you're at the end of the world. This 300-meter-high cliff on the island of Magerøya rises above the Arctic Ocean, although not geographically the northernmost point in Europe. The North Cape has become its main symbol, partly because it can be reached by car via the scenic E69 road, which passes through an underwater tunnel. On the flat top of the cape, there is a metal globe and an observation deck, which offers a panoramic view of the endless ocean and steep cliffs going down. Hellestuvet Canyon is one of the grandest and most inaccessible canyons in northern Europe. It was cut through by an ancient glacier, and then for thousands of years meltwater and the Helleuver River deepened and widened the channel, turning the sheer walls. Today, this gigantic cleft reaches almost 500 meters in width, stretches for 3.5 kilometers and goes deep for several hundred meters. The complex accessibility only adds to its appeal. In this wild beauty, you can feel the primordial power of nature. Vettisfossen waterfall is one of the highest waterfalls in Europe with continuous free fall of water. The stream falls down from a height of 275 meters, while still in the air forming a dense curtain of spray and fog. In harsh winters, the picture is transformed. At the edges of the waterfall, bizarre ice stalactites and surges grow, and in the center, water continues to break through the ice, creating a striking contrast between movement and the frozen elements. Trondheim is a city where the breath of the Viking Age is organically intertwined with the rhythm of modern technology. Founded in 997 by King Olav Tryggvason, it was the first capital of Norway and for a long time remained its spiritual center. Today it is the third most populous city in the country, located on the banks of the Nidelva River and Trondheim's fjord. The soul of Trondheim is Nidaros Cathedral, the northernmost medieval cathedral in the world. Its construction began in the second half of the 6th century over the tomb of King Olaf the Saint, and lasted 230 years. It was here that Norwegian monarchs were traditionally crowned. The facade of the cathedral is decorated with more than 50 statues. Most of them are modern copies, and 5 original medieval sculptures are now preserved in the museum. At the same time, Trondheim is also the technological center of Norway. It is home to the Norwegian University of Natural and Technical Sciences, an important engineering forge that gives the city a young, dynamic atmosphere. Walking through the city center is a journey through the ages. There is a monument to the founder king in the market square, and the old city bridge leads you to the backlanded embankment with its colorful wooden houses, cozy cafes and unique marine flavor. Telemark Canal, a man-made miracle of the 6th century, which contemporaries called the 8th wonder of the world. A 5-kilometer path cut through the rocks with 18 airlock chambers allowed barges to rise 72 meters from sea level. 500 workers worked on the creation of the canal, using pickaxes and dynamite. Today it is a living museum. The locks are still opened manually, and ancient steamers glide through the waters, carefully preserving the spirit of a bygone era. The Steinsdalsfossen waterfall near the village of Steny is one of the most unusual in the country. It appeared in 1699, when after a severe flood, the river broke through a new channel and began to fall from a steep cliff. A special feature of the waterfall is that there is a dry trail behind its 50-meter water wall. Walking in such an environment is a rare and impressive experience. Ålesund is one of the most picturesque and original cities in Norway. It is spread over 8 islands connected by bridges and underwater tunnels, and is already an architectural marvel in itself. At the beginning of the 20th century, a fire destroyed more than 80% of the city, leaving about 10,000 people homeless. But in just 3 years Ålesund was restored. The young architects were inspired by the Art Nouveau style, and its elegant forms vividly contrast with the traditional Scandinavian austerity. Currently, around 60,000 people live in Ålesund and its suburbs, and the city has always attracted travelers. People come here to climb the observation deck of Mount Axla and admire the postcard panorama of the fjords, wander among the elegant facades and, if you are lucky, see the northern lights. Sunrises and sunsets here seem almost unreal, and the harmony of nature and architecture creates a unique image of the city. The Twindefossen waterfall is one of the pearls of western Norway. The waters of the Krelvi River fall on several ledges, forming a spectacular cascade with a height of about 110 meters and a width of up to 60 meters. The waterfall has long been a popular tourist attraction, and local legends give its water rejuvenating properties as if it is able to give youth. Fjords National Park is a place where the ice power meets the rugged fjord coast and sharp mountain peaks. Founded in 2005, the park preserves landscapes that have been shaped over millennia. Its heart is the Fjords glacial massif, one of the largest in the country. Its tongues of more than 200 square kilometers descend to green valleys, and waterfalls born of meltwater break down from steep slopes. Tourists can go hiking to the glacier or even go skiing in the open air. Bergen is the second largest city in Norway, the gateway to the fjords. It is located on the southwestern coast, surrounded on 3 sides by mountains, and on the 4th is washed by the waters of the Atlantic. Founded in 1070 by King Olaf, the city has remained the country's largest trade hub for centuries. Today, Bergen is an amazing combination of student energy, modern life and medieval heritage. Rocky peaks rise in the midst of the city's bustle, and the smell of the sea and fresh fish wafts in the air. The heart of the city is the Bruges Quarter on the Von embankment. In the Middle Ages, it was the seat of the Hanseatic League. For 400 years, the quarter was the most important center of northern European trade. Dried cod was shipped from here, and grain and other goods were imported. Wooden buildings have suffered from fires more than once. The most devastating occurred in 1702, and the current buildings were built after it. Our Norwegian journey is coming to an end. I would like to believe that we managed to convey at least some of the special atmosphere, for which people travel thousands of kilometers, put up with capricious northern weather and considerable expenses. See you again. There are still so many amazing corners of our planet ahead.